PathMonk is the intelligent tool for website lead generation. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in their buying journey separates you from the competition online. PathMonk qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50%. Add PathMonk to your website in seconds. Let the AI do all the work and get access to 50% more qualified leads while you keep doing marketing and sales as usual. Check us on pathmonk.com. Welcome to today's episode. Let's talk about today's guest. We have Janet Jaiswal from Blueshift, VP of Marketing with them. How are you doing today, Janet?
Doing great. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being on with us today. I'm glad that we were able to connect you with a lot of experience in the marketing world. Definitely love having you on today's episode.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Yeah, well, let's kick it off then, right? So I'm sure our listeners are tuning in, wondering what Blueshift is all about. So, Janet, in your own words, tell us a little bit more.
Sure. So Blueshift is a San Francisco-based company. We help brands automate and personalize engagement across every marketing channel. So whether that's online or offline. And the Blueshift Intelligent Customer Engagement platform utilizes patented AI technology. And what we do is we use that to unify, inform, and activate the fullness of customer data across all channels, across all applications. And so essentially what we provide is a customer data platform and a cross-channel marketing hub integrated. So it's all in one place. And that way brands like B2C companies have all the tools they need to deliver the one-to-one experiences in real time across the entire customer journey. One thing I will add is we've been recognized in Gartner's Magic Quadrant for CDP, as well as a leader in GigaOm's radar for CDPs. And I'm proud to say that we've been part of the Deloitte Technology Fast 500 list in 2020, 21, 22, 23, as one of the fastest growing companies in North America. Given the pandemic and the economic turmoil, we're pretty proud of that.
Definitely, you should be proud of that, right? I mean, it's some accolades that everybody would wish they could have. So awesome to hear that they're from Blueshift. And so that way our listeners then, Janet, could get a good understanding there of Blueshift. What would you say then is that key problem that you guys like to solve for clients?
Yeah. So the problem is that, we mostly serve B2C brands. And this is across multiple industries on a global basis. And the problem that we solve is enabling marketers at these companies to interact with their customers on a one-to-one basis in a scalable manner. Now, what that means is giving marketers insights into their customers' wants and needs so the brand can serve up the right content, maybe a product recommendation or information at the right time, at the appropriate channel at a time that they believe the customer will be responsive. And so it sounds straightforward, intellectually speaking, but it's incredibly difficult to actually implement in reality. Data's everywhere, and it's difficult to make sense of it. And that's where our AI models come in, because they help make accurate predictions, which typically require specialized skills and technology that aren't always in the reach of a typical marketer. And so we're able to take, very sophisticated, complex capabilities and put it into the hands of everyday marketers who don't have to have a PhD in data science, for example.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And that's super important, right? Because, I mean, if they could do that would be great. And so then what would you say is a vertical, a segment? I mean, I know you guys work with carparts.com, Landing Tree, Discovery Plus. So is there a segment, is there an ideal ICP there for Blueshift?
Yeah, it is a horizontal platform. So, like you mentioned, we serve customers in retail media, personal finance, retail industry, media and publications. So like US News, for example, is a customer. So I can't say that we're specific in that ICP there, but we do tend to serve like mid to large and through enterprise size customers. So For smaller companies, usually email marketing or a marketing automation platform is sufficient. But when you start to get into high volumes of customers, typically a B2C company, that's when it starts to become really hard to market to them, right? We find marketers usually will create segments and say, okay, if you belong to segment, you all get the same treatment. Whereas what we enable is one-to-one interaction, and it's done in real time. Like as a customer will browse through the website or on an app or wherever, our models are recalculating, saying, oh, this person's showing an affinity towards this, or they're leaning towards, I don't know, purple, blue colors. And so we will serve them, information or recommendations to help them progress through the journey, but it's done in real time. And so that's what's really cool, is that it is indeed one-to-one marketing, which as a fellow marketer, we all know that that's the holy grail, right? The more relevant and personalized that information is at the right time, the more likely that prospect or that consumer is likely to respond to that brand.
Definitely would agree with you, right? And so how would then somebody usually find out about Blueshift, right? If I was in the retail industry, e-commerce, how would I find out about Blueshift? Is there a top client acquisition channel for you guys?
So we have both inbound and outbound, but I guess the ones that work the best are organic search, right? So that's all about, having good content, having good SEO practices, as well as paid search. But really, it's mostly organic search. Analyst relations. So we, a lot of our buyers tend to go to analysts to create their shortlist. So that's where they find us. And then partners. We have some amazing partners that, our marketing agencies, technology partners like AWS and so forth. So these are folks that are already trusted, where a company already has a relationships. And so they tend to bring us into, deals, if you will.
Yep.
So a surprising number of people will try our free CDP. Now, while we don't target smaller companies, which is typically, where free products come in, we made our CDP, our customer data platform, free because we wanted companies to see how easy it was to use and how straightforward something like a CDP can be. And if you know anything about CDPs, they are not easy to use, and they require, IT departments to get involved and just a lot of wrestling. So we made that free on purpose because we wanted people to kind of try it out hands-on. And we've been able to use it in 15 minutes. So we think our customers will find it easy to use as well. So, yep.
That's really nice to hear. Perfect. Awesome. And so that way our listeners can go ahead and try that out. They could always visit you at blueshift.com. What role then does the website play for client acquisition, Janet?
So our website brings a good number of visitors that come through organic search, which I mentioned, and that's great. It also allows, our visitors do some research on their own, kind of learn about the problem we solve, kick the tires a little bit. And so my viewpoint is that the website is important for all marketers, and it should play a large role in customer acquisition. If you think about it, it's essentially the storefront, right? When they haven't met us in person, they don't really know what it's about. And so the website is usually where they'll go to, to get a first impression of the company, what they're about, who they serve, who are their customers, et cetera, et cetera. So that said, our website's a living, breathing thing. And so it's constantly undergoing change because it is that important to us.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. So then is there any tips or methods that you would recommend to our listeners as far as some website lead generation?
Yes. So now we're hitting an area where I'm very passionate.
Perfect.
Okay. So a high converting website, I find, typically has kind of like 5 key things you have to do, right? You have to address these 5 areas. First one is the messaging. You have to know who your audience is, what their pain points are, and then tying your solution into how we can address those pain points. Like if you don't get the message right, they're going to be like, yeah, not for me. Or if it's too high level, they're going to be like, I'm not sure I know what you're providing. So therefore I don't know if it's needed. And so the messaging is very, very important. You have to do your homework. You have to have buyer personas. You have to talk to customers. You have to really understand a day in the life of a typical buyer that you have. Second is kind of more of what I call the art of marketing, which is the design, the color, the copy, right? The words you use, how many you use. It should be appropriate for the type of business you are and the customers that you're targeting, right? If it's casual and brightly colored, maybe you're trying to appeal to consumers. If it has muted color tone, the style of writing is very business-like, you might be focusing on enterprise buyers. And again, I'm giving you extremes that, there's lots of in between. But that all helps to form an impression in your visitor's mind of who you are and what you provide. Once you've got those things, you really need to then put in an A/B testing tool. So you can see what content, what messaging, what call to action, buttons, etc., resonate the best. And so to help develop the message, I would, to help develop the message before you even test it, I would recommend, talking to your customers, researching, and there are also providers out there that will test with your target audience. And so once you have that, you then use your A/B testing tool to see, okay, which one works the best, right? Because oftentimes there's more than one message that you think could convey what you guys provide. And so you want to use your A/B testing, MBT testing tool to be able to get feedback on what's working. Next, put together a well-defined SEO strategy. This is where you narrow down the keywords that you want to optimize your site for, and create content that educates and places well in the search results for those keywords. And then you want to tie in your SEM strategy, your paid ads, your paid search, retargeting, and etc., such that the two are consistent with each other and they're complementary. They're not fighting against each other and you're going after, SEO's going after one set of keywords and SEM's going after another. Like, that doesn't help. And then I'd say that assuming you've done those first 4 steps, and you should start to get a decent amount of traffic on your website. And so at that point, you can add more tools to improve your website performance and help convert more of those visitors and turn them into potentially, prospects, if you will. And so examples would be, conversion rate optimization, right? Where you optimize every landing page, every form, your headers, et cetera, et cetera. And then eventually you can add personalization software that'll personalize a message to each individual, like what we provide, or you can do it in segments, which is an easier thing to do, and probably the first thing, which is, personalize your message to the segments, which could be like by industry, by size, by geography, et cetera, et cetera. So those are kind of the 5 kind of progression of a website. Everybody needs the first 2. The next 3 are really kind of taking your website performance to that next level.
Definitely important. I mean, gotta ask, have you ever thought about, putting that into a book? I mean, those 5 steps in a book?
No, there's a ton of people smarter than me that have already done that. I just find that this is what's tried and true over the last 20 plus years that I've been doing B2B marketing.
Definitely. I mean, you got a couple of accolades. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if at one point you do decide. I mean, you were the top 101 B2B marketers last year. So definitely that's always nice to have, right? Awesome. Well, then let's switch gears a little bit then, Janet, and let's talk about you as a leader. You being the VP of marketing there for Blueshift, what are some key tasks you like to focus on your day-to-day work?
Oh gosh, my day-to-day does vary, but what I can tell you is that I focus on on setting the overall strategy and then working with my team leads to create that roadmap of what we want to achieve quarter by quarter that supports that overall strategy. And so once that strategy is set, my day-to-day is really helping to incorporate those best practices in each area. So whether that's demand gen or content marketing or email marketing, website, all of the typical functions. And then I take on projects that I feel, no one else either has time or maybe just connecting the dots. A good chunk of my work is always collaborating with sales and customer success, right? We're all part of the same go-to-market function, if you will, and the 3 of us are very interdependent. Like if I'm not collaborating effectively with sales and customer success, I'm doing something wrong. And so I tend to spend more time to make sure that the 3 of us are aligned such that, marketing is not marketing to an industry where sales is like, yeah, I don't care about that industry. Yeah. I didn't even know that we were targeting them. And you certainly don't want, as you acquire those customers, for it to be a surprise to the CSMs, because they have to also be prepared and well versed on, who we're targeting, what types of customers we're getting, and so forth. So, I exaggerate, but the point is the collaboration is very important beyond the day-to-day functioning of the marketing function itself.
Definitely important. I'm glad you mentioned something like that. I mean, it sounds like you have a full plate there on your hand, Janet. And in the between time, then, how do you stay up to date with all the news and marketing trends? Is there a preferred channel that you like to stay up to date with?
There are many, but one of my favorites is there are several CMO networks that are now accessible through Slack. And so like CMO Coffee Talk is one. Another one is CMO Huddles, which is B2B marketing focused. Both are open to the senior most member of the marketing department. And it's a great source of knowledge, recommendations, advice, and even a place to vet when I need it, right? I mean, we all had those days when we want to talk to a fellow marketer who's been in our shoes. And so it's just nice to have these communities that you can go to do all of those things. I'm sure there's a ton of other sources out there, but those are my two go-to, and I belong to several others that I also frequent, although not as often.
All right, great. Thank you so much for sharing that. I've heard a lot of CMOs use Coffee Talk, so definitely gotta. That's a good one there for our listeners. And let's jump into our next section then here, Janet, which is our rapid fire question rounds. Are you ready for them?
Sure.
Awesome. That first off then, Janet, is what is the last book that you read?
It's a book by a gentleman named Matt Lerner. So he and I, he's a talented marketer, and he and I used to work together at PayPal. So his book is called Growth Levers, and it's Growth Levers and How to Find Them, I believe. It's a very short, easy to digest book, but it's a great way to just kind of go back to the fundamentals, go back to the basics, and make sure that you're approaching your marketing with kind of the it's not quite guerrilla marketing, but it's going back to the fundamentals, but he makes it easy to understand and digest. And so I strongly recommend the book. It's a very fast read, probably 90 pages, but really good book.
Definitely. All right. Good. Some good read there for our listeners. Next up then, Janet, is if there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be that one thing that you want to have fixed for your role as a marketer today?
I've got a simple one. My entire, I would love to have my entire tech stack integrated. That I don't think there are solutions out there. They do some of it, but not all of it. But I would love to have, all the data flowing from one end to another, because marketers have people that interact with us through many, many channels, right? And don't want to have to keep reconciling an email address that's, from an email subscription to a Twitter profile where not the email address, but it's some other name. So just trying to kind of take all those different profiles and put it together such that I understand it's one person. That's really hard to do, right? So, data is the marketer's lifeblood, right? Like by being able to measure what's working, what's not, and how well it's working, we're able to improve. And so bringing all that data together helps us to make better decisions, therefore helps us to be better marketers. So it's a simple request, but in reality, it's not that simple.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, sure. I mean, the way technology, it seems like it's going, right? We'll probably see it sooner than later. So hopefully.
Well, I mean, there are 8,000 technologies out there as part of the MarTech stack. So the sooner someone gets to it, the more money they'll make.
There's going to be more, right? So definitely.
Oh yeah, keep growing for sure.
Next then, Janet, is if there's one repetitive task that you could automate, what would that be?
Setting up meetings. Just trying to find, multiple dates and times that work with various parties is such a huge waste of time, right? Like I honestly miss my admin assistant. I currently don't have one. That's had to schedule my own. And, tools like Calendly helps, but it's never the same. And just trying to get everybody onto one plate is hard. And it takes a lot of time. Like, why are we spending that much time setting up meetings?
Exactly. And that's with clients, right? Sometimes it's difficult, and in within colleagues, right? It's also, hey, well, it's because I'm busy. Hey, can we do it here? I can't do it that time. So definitely, I think there's still a lot of room for improvement in that area.
Yeah. Especially if you're working with people in a lot of different geographies, a lot of different time zones, right? It compounds the problem.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, here being the podcast guest, right? I get people from all over the world. So sometimes like, oh, okay, I mean, I can make it. Sometimes, I can't. And it's just a back and forth and trying to arrange that. So definitely if someone's out there dealing with something or thinking about it, that would be really great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. And well, lastly, Janet, I mean, like you mentioned, you have 20-year plus experience in the B2B SaaS companies, from startups, seed through Series A to industry giants. But what is that one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you were to restart your journey as a marketer today?
Restart my journey. What I would say is find, an industry or domain that you like and stick to it as early as you can in your career. As people become more and more senior in their role, they want to establish expertise, within marketing, and because that helps them to provide more thought leadership to help them progress and grow. So that could be figure out if you want to do B2C marketing or B2B, right? Like the two are very different. Or it could be by industry, or it could be the size of company, public, private, small, large, whatever. I did establish that focus of B2B marketing, but I would say later in my career than I wanted to. Still enjoying the ride, so can't complain. But that's the advice I would give to folks: is as soon as you figure out what you like, stay in that area of focus, and then continue to progress.
Some great advice there. Do appreciate that, Janet. Well, we are coming to the end of the show today, Janet, but before we do end, I do want to give you the last word. Say someone forgets everything about the interview today. What is that one thing they should remember about Blueshift?
I would say Blueshift empowers marketers who don't have an army of people to do something that's incredibly sophisticated that used to be reserved for just the largest of companies, marketing teams of hundreds and plus. And so we allow a lot of our B2B companies to do a lot of that without an army of marketers, that whole one-to-one personalization. So it's so gratifying to see customers, who are like, oh my God, I did this and I got promoted. We love hearing stories like that, and look forward to creating more heroes that way.
Definitely important. Awesome. Hey, well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. To our listeners, you could always check them out at blueshift.com. Cross-channel marketing powered by unified data. Janet, thank you so much for being on with us today. To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'm looking forward to our next episode at PathMung Presents. Thanks a lot, Janet.
Welcome. Thank you.